didn't, the graft would come off and I have to start all over again. And that was very hard. I don't know if it was worse thinking about that or thinking that I had to actually listen to a doctor. But I knew I had to listen to him. So I had my surgery. And one of the things I actually liked was, I know people don't like pain, but the CPM machine felt great because it hurt a little bit, but I felt like it was moving, and I just love that thing. And he had said to me, well, you need to be like 90 degrees in 4 weeks. I'm like, forget that, So 5 days later, as you know, I sent that picture of my leg hanging off the bed. And one of the things I told myself is I'm going to be the best patient he's ever had. I'm going to heal quicker than anyone, and I'm going to do everything he says, and my leg's going to get bigger. And so that was the day after the surgery, and I don't think they took the epidural out yet because I was still smiling. But it was really, once the epidural came out, it was the worst pain I ever experienced in my life. And any other surgery I've had after that is like nothing compared to, I don't know if it was the osteotomy or the ACI that hurt worse, but something was hurting in there, and I'd never experienced anything like that before. But there's my scar. You guys have seen a lot of these before. Okay, so a week after surgery, that was about 6 days after surgery, I had called, and as I was on the plane, I called Dr. Myers. I'm like, hey, it's okay if I travel, right? I'm not going to hurt anything, as I'm sitting on JetBlue, and they could probably hear the lady in the loudspeaker talking, the flight attendant. But he's like, I go, can I hurt anything? And he's like, no. And I said, okay, well, I'm flying to California right now from Florida. I hope that's not a problem. He said to me, Dara, do you realize that I broke your leg last week? And I'm like, yeah, but it actually feels pretty good right now. So, I think I'm just going to go to California. Well, it felt good the whole flight until we landed, and I don't know if it swelled or what happened. It was the most excruciating pain I've ever been in. But the problem was that I had Courtney, his PA, tell me that they had a patient that only was on pain meds for 1 day, and being the competitive person that I was, she told me that after I was on it for 3 days that there was no way I was going to take pain meds, so Tylenol just gulped down. But anyway, I did an appearance 6 days later with Sully, the guy who landed the plane in the Hudson, and I think that's Linda Illerby. I just didn't want this surgery to stop my life. I had this planned before I even decided to have surgery, and I made this commitment to the women's conference that I was going to go, and if I wasn't going to injure myself doing this, then why can't I just keep up with my life with what my normal routine is? So I went and I traveled, and then 2 weeks post-op, I'm not trying to show my body in a suit, but that's what I do is swim, so that's the only pictures I have. But 2 weeks post-op, I called Dr. Myers. I'm like, look, these heel slides are not doing it for me. I need to do something else. And I was just getting antsy, and I'm thinking, well, I have a year of this. He must think I'm nuts, 2 weeks in, calling him and saying I need to do something else. And he has a specific protocol of what you need to follow month by month, or I guess quarter by quarter. And so he said, why don't you get in and walk in the pool? I was like, wow, I can walk? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, my knee was still pretty swollen, but I started walking in the pool, and he's like, go about 10 or 15 minutes. And so I did, and I called him after, and he said, how'd it go? And I said, great, I walked 500 yards. Like, 500 yards? I'm like, you said go 10 or 15 minutes. That's what I did in 10 or 15 minutes. So I think he should have said 5 minutes or something. It probably would have been much better. And then I ended up at about 3 months. Well, first of all, the hardest thing for me was being a single mom and trying to take care of my daughter, because normally when a doctor says, yeah, you need to use crutches, I don't listen. And so with him, knowing that the graft would come off, I knew even though I was 50% weight bearing, I knew I had to use my crutches. And so how was I going to feed my daughter? How was I going to bring the food to the table and bring her with crutches? I mean, it's something you just kind of have to master, and it takes a lot to try to figure everything out when you're going through something like this, challenging. So I hired this guy named Bill Knowles to come down from Vermont. He's worked with a lot of the best athletes in the world on knee recovery after surgeries and shoulder and stuff. And so he came down, and he started to give me exercises that actually followed in Dr. Minus's guidelines, but weren't even close to being what he recommended. I don't know if that makes sense. But so anyway, so he had me doing stuff in the pool. And so I would do exercises where I'd stretch out, bring my knees in, and then go to the other side. So it'd be like that. I did, just some fun something just to give me something different to do than just going to a PT rehab place and doing trying to get range of motion back and stuff. So it made it a lot more interesting for me. I would get on a bike because I couldn't do, obviously, lower body exercise on the ergometer. And what I would do is stretch my leg out and try to see how, as I'm doing my upper body work, try to bring it back to try to get my range of motion. And, I don't know where it went, but it went blue. Hello? I had some good pictures too. Did I do something? I might have touched something. It's not blue here, but it's blue on the. It's there, but it's not on the screen. There I am. So anyway, so anything I can do to try to get my range of motion back, I would do. I did a lot of stuff, obviously, for my glutes and my hamstrings. My daughter actually did, this is called mashing, which my stretching trainers would do, where they'd stand on me and mash my quad and my hamstrings, and I actually drew a little line so my daughter wouldn't go past where my kneecap is, and she would stand on me and mash me. And one of the things I found is you get really tight and your muscles get really sore, and so the more they massaged it, it actually made it easier to get my range of motion back. I got to a point so I got about 115 degrees or 120, and I couldn't get past everything I did. I did all the exercises I was supposed to do with my PT guy, but I couldn't get past it. And the minute I started to get massaged and mashed, it loosened up so quickly. I got my range of motion back very, very quick. I had a Compex machine on my quad. The Compex, I wasn't getting it, my quad wasn't firing, hadn't fired for a long time, and so I would do 10 or 20 degrees squats and use the Compex on my machine, and the Compex machine on my leg would contract my muscle. So basically, when a normal person would do a squat like that, their whole leg would work. Mine wouldn't. So when I put the Compex machine on, it would contract my quad muscle to try to get some muscle back quickly. One of the other things I did is one-legged spinning. I was on a step, so I was up sort of the height that I should be for my knee, and I would spin with one leg to try to get my VMO back a little bit and my quad muscle. This was at 4 months, the difference with my good leg and my operated leg. So I was starting to get some decent muscle back. Here I was, this was at about 6 months, and as you can see, the spinning bike is backwards and the seat is off. So my rear is where the handle should be, and I'm holding on to just any kind of machine that had a bar. And I was basically, because I couldn't load my knee and spin forwards, I could sitting down, but I couldn't standing up. I started to do backwards spinning, and I started to get a lot of muscle back in my leg doing this. Another thing I love doing at about 6 months is one-legged rows. I got to the point where I was aerobically getting more fit, but I didn't have any plyometric work, and trying to get some speed back in my legs. And so I would do some really quick 20-second one-legged row sets to try to get some muscle back. That was, like I said, about 6 months. There I am, I got back and started training again. Now this is kind of cool. My trainer came back a week and a half ago, and I felt like when I decided to make a comeback, my kicking in the pool, you don't realize it. You think your legs are straight, but there's a lot of flexion in your knee, and so it still hurts a little bit to kick. And I'm trying to take it slowly. I've been back in the pool two months now, but I was having some problems. And what's happening is, again, my glutes and my hamstring are firing, but my quads aren't. The inside of my legs aren't firing that well, my VMO and stuff. And so what he's done is, I know I have it on both legs, but specifically for my left leg, he put the Compex machine back on my leg. So here I'm doing like I would in the pool, like kicking if I was on my back. And what was happening, it was contracting. I don't have a pointer, but you can see a little bit of muscle. It was contracting my quad, and my hamstrings and glutes were working too while that was happening. I went on my stomach as if I was doing freestyle and started kicking like that. So what's happening here is when I do this, when I get in the pool, it doesn't hurt as bad anymore. Not that it hurt bad, but I could still feel it. And then the last thing I was doing here was spinning again. And now I can start going forwards again. This was about a week and a half ago. I took the handlebars off and the seat off, and I go up against a wall, and I'm pushing the wall, and I start spinning really fast. And I do about 6 times 20 seconds. And when I got off that machine, I looked down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a VMO again. And it just bulges out. And so I really feel like the exercises I'm doing right now are helping a lot. And it's been an unbelievable experience going through all this. I'm so grateful to Dr. Minus and his staff for taking such great care of me, and Dr. Shalal also. If there was one setback, the only setback I had was one of my screws was coming up. I don't know, you could feel it through my skin. It was really hurting when I was exercising, so Dr. Shalal took both my screws out. And so I guess I had a loose screw, huh? It's funny. Anyway, so it's been great, and I'm so happy to not only have my quality of life back, but to be able to decide I want to get back and swim and not have my injury dictate that I can't do that. And so, like I said, I've been back 2 months, and I'm training for the 2012 Olympics, and the only thing, and my kicking's coming back, the only thing that's stopping me from swimming from any meets besides trying to get in shape is my start. I tried to actually bend down and do a start not actually do a start, but just sort of mimic it, and the loading on the knee still really hurt. I'll be a year out next month, October 20th, so I'm hoping by spring that I'll be able to get back in and start swimming swim meets and doing my start again. So I thank everyone who came up with this wonderful technology and giving me sort of my quality of life back. And I thank Dr. Minus for all of his hard work and efforts, and Courtney. And I don't know if you guys have any questions you want to ask. I know I went way over it. You guys probably want to get drunk at the cocktail party, but I don't know if you guys have any questions you want to ask. Feel free, or we can go get drunk.
Thank you, Dara. Again, another epitome of grace and elegance, and thank you for such a motivational, hopefully everybody gets the message here. We can make a difference, and we can continue to improve our techniques to help people get back to a pain-free life. Can we go on to